Hi children, today once again let us have a brief discussion about national movement, the early phase between 1885 and 1919. We have already learnt about the national movement, the movement which took place throughout the country for a genuine cause. So national movement in India forms an important epoch in history as it helped well diverse people and sections of society into one nation. All sections came together to not only fight against the British rule but also to build a new country. So, why the people fought? They want to build a new country. They want to build a new country with a new aspirations. They want to build a new country with new ideology, a new approach, nothing but the democratic principles. And for that, they started some associations, basically. And these associations, how did they help for the development of this national consciousness or nationalism? Earlier, India was ruled by kings, princely states, and as well as British people. There are some cities like Kolkata, Madras, and Bombay, and as they were flourished, and the people from Kolkata, Madras, and Bombay, they achieved to fill the national consciousness among the people of those cities. But what about remaining area of the country? So that's why. So nationalism or national consciousness was limited or bound to only those cities, Bombay, Kolkata, and as well as Madras. But it cannot be treated as a national movement. It cannot be treated as a nationalism. And how did they help? For the development of nationalism concern? With the growth of English education during the late 19th century, in some major cities like Kolkata, Madras, and Bombay, a new consciousness began to develop. The intellectuals of the time opposed inequalities or injustice of the old social system. That we have to be considered, my dear children. If you remember the society where there is no equality, where there was no justice, and the people from deprived classes, they have been exploiting by the higher caste people, and the people from the poor society, they have been exploiting and suppressed by these rich people. So the intellectuals of those days, and they tried to remove such kind of inequalities and injustices through their articles and through their speeches. And by that, what they were expected, these concern, and they want to establish or build a society where there's democratic political order, democratic principles, and where there is equality and where there is justice. And that's why they wanted at the same time to point out the exploitation, injustice caused by the British rule and fight to end. And for these injustices and inequality, they thought that British rule was also one of the factor for for establishing, for occurring these inequalities. So that's why they want to fight, they want to struggle, and they want to express the oppositeness towards the British rule. So that's why the nationalism or national movement was started in India. And when did the seeds of this nationalism was come into existence concern? So there is half of the 19th century, second half of the 19th century. The educated Indians, after studying the nature of the British rule and its impact on India, became more and more critical of British policies in India. And that's why they began to get together and discuss these issues and also form an associations for this. A problem is arise and we have to discuss and we have to find some solution for those problems. But how can we cannot meet all the people at a time, where the people are residing in different places, in different corners of India, different corners of the country. So that's why, if at all any association is established, and we can express our feelings and we can express our opinions through those associations. So that's why they started these associations in 1866. Dadabhai Nauroji, who was he was a man, Dadabhai Nauroji, and he organized East India Association in London to discuss the Indian question. And not only that, during 1866 to 1885, various leaders like Surendranath Banerjee was a man, and M.G. Ranade, Badruddin Tyabji, K.C. Talang, D. Subramaniam, they organized some associations in Kolkata, Pune, Bombay, and Madras to discuss why did they organize these associations concerned to discuss the problems of Indians faced during the British rule, and they developed the nationalistic zeal, and as well as they tried to unite all corners of India. And though many of these associations functions in specific parts of the country, their goals were stated, the goals of all the people of India, not those of any one region, community or class. They worked with the idea that the people should be sovereign, modern, consciousness, and a key feature of nationalism. So the vital role or the objective, the basic objective of these associations concerned to develop nationalism in the minds of these Indians. In other words, they believe that the Indian people should be empowered to take decisions regarding their affairs. So they want to develop the concept of sovereignty, nothing but taking the decisions on their own. And many of these intellectuals also led campaigns against some British policies such as taxes on textiles. I think you might have known, my dear children, textiles is nothing but the manufacturing of cloths. Textiles business. So they organized some campaigns against some British policies, taxes on textiles, and racial discrimination, showing inequality, showing some discrimination or differences among the races, and repressive laws against Indian newspapers. So they realized the importance of discussing the policies the government and organizing campaigns to change. So what these early associations fought, they fought for conducted campaigns against the taxes on textiles, and they conducted some campaigns on racial discrimination against Indians, and they conducted some campaigns, repressive laws against Indian newspapers. And so by that, so why did they conduct these campaigns concerned? So that was the situation. That was the situation provided during the British rule. So they want to spread the information throughout the country. So how the British was ruling, and what kind of discrimination, what kind of inequality was took place. So that's why. So they were succeeded. So then what was the essence of having a nationwide association? So why the national association in the form of INC? As we know, that Indian National Congress, and it was established in the year 1885. And already there were some associations at Kolkata, Madras and Bombay. But why did they fail? Why did they fail? And why this Indian National Congress came into existence concern? That because one of the important factor for this establishing of this INC concern, my dear children. So those associations were confined to only those areas. For example, the association which was established in Bombay, it was confined. It does not spread throughout the country. And whereas Calcutta same time, and whereas Madras similar. But there would be a necessity of spreading about the information throughout the country. So they were aspired to have a national association like the INC. That's why they established this Indian National Congress in the year 1885.